Israel launching a joint attack on Iran overnight. Sirens blaring across Israel after the country's defense minister declared a state of emergency. Iran fired back on Israel around 2 a.m. our time. Explosions can be heard in the northern part of the country. One person in the United Arab Emirates has died. This comes after what President Trump is calling a major combat operation in Iran. Thick smoke seen here rising from multiple explosions in downtown Tehran, Iran's capital. It happened near the offices of Iran's supreme leader. The Israeli Defense Force releasing this infrared video of the missile strikes in western Iran. Iranian media reporting that attacks have happened across the country there. 40 are reported dead at a girls' school in Iran, and another 45 are reported injured. Taking a live look over Israel right now, News 2's Maggie Weaver is joining us in studio here with how other parts of the Middle East are reacting to the threat of war. Maggie, good morning.
Good morning, Megan. Iran's foreign ministry says that the time has come to defend the homeland after this joint U.S.-Israeli strike. Now, in this chilling video of Tel Aviv, you can see a missile interception actually happening there overhead. New video also shows more smoke plumes over Bahrain. The country reports a missile attack targeted the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters there. Now, Iran officials confirmed in a statement that they've begun responding to these joint strikes as well. Sirens all across the region are blaring as millions are preparing for a retaliation. Israel reports one man was wounded from an impact in northern Israel. Now, the U.S. Embassy in Qatar issued a security alert, and there is a shelter in place for all personnel at the embassy. They recommend Americans in the country also shelter in place. And of course, explosions have been heard in Qatar as the result of that counterattack. People in Israel right now sheltering in place as those sirens are wailing, urging civilians to safety now. Now, the Iranian airspace is currently closed. You can see much of the airspace is actually cleared out this morning. Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Syria are also not allowing any flights over their countries as well. And also, President Donald Trump is now urging the citizens of Iran to take over their government, this suggesting the allies could be seeking to end of the country's theocracy after decades of tensions here. President Donald Trump also saying in a video posted to social media there may be American casualties due to this conflict. With more on those rising tensions, we now turn to Rashad Hudson, who's following the president's response from Washington, D.C.
The video from President Trump is just over 8 minutes long. In it, he lays out the United States' objective for attacking Iran and warns there may be U.S. casualties.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Smoke began rising over Tehran shortly after President Donald Trump announced the U.S. launched a mission to take down the Iranian regime.
To prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests.
In an early Saturday morning video, President Trump delivered a warning and a mission to the Iranian people.
I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
The White House has signaled for days a military strike could be imminent to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Top White House and Iranian negotiators held direct talks in Geneva on Thursday, but did not reach a deal.
They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
U.S. forces have built up their presence in the region in recent weeks. Israel joined the United States Saturday morning in Operation Epic Fury, which the president described as ongoing and as war. Iran is now responding, saying it won't hesitate to defend the homeland. U.S. embassies in the Middle East are now warning Americans in the region to shelter in place as the operation against Iran is just beginning. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson. Back to you.
Thank you, Rashad, and to our Maggie Weaver for her reporting here at home. Stay updated with us on air and online at WKRN.com throughout the day.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
We continue to follow breaking news out of the Middle East. The U.S. and Israel have launched joint military strikes against Iran that happened early this morning. We've learned Iran has also started retaliatory strikes in response. So let's get right to Ray Strickland. He has been following the very latest for us this morning. So what do we know now, Ray? Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Janet. As you know, this is the second time in 8 months the U.S. has ordered strikes against Iran. Officials with the U.S. saying this is just the beginning of the attacks that will continue to be carried out over the next several days. Now, this video shows the aftermath of those attacks that began overnight. For weeks, President Donald Trump threatened the Iranian regime with military force, hoping to put pressure on the country to curb its nuclear program. And before that, Trump threatened the regime over its violent crackdown on protesters. The president is now calling for a regime change as he warns of potential American casualties due to the conflict.
My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission.
And reaction from congressmen from our area has been swift, both condemning and supporting the president's actions. PA Senator John Fetterman showing his support for the president, saying President Trump has been willing to do what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. Senator Andy Kim out of New Jersey disagreeing with that notion, saying Americans don't want to go to war with Iran and that these attacks put Americans in harm's way. Also, CBS News confirms that Secretary of State Marco Rubio did speak to at least some of the members of Capitol Hill's Gang of Eight to alert them before the strikes began. The Secretary of State is also expected to travel to the region on Monday. Jan?
All right, Ray, thanks so much for that update. Of course, this is a situation we'll be developing throughout the day, and we will be covering it for days and weeks to come. We'll bring you the latest updates as they come our way. We'll bring them to you both on air and online at cbsphiladelphia.com. Also, be sure to download the CBS News app so you can get notifications about any late breaking news that happens in our region and across the world.
Here in Tel Aviv, the situation is incredibly tense. We've been forced into the stairwell too many times to count as fears of Iran's counterattack ramp up.
The U.S. and Iran launched a major attack on Iran Saturday morning, targeting members of Iran's leadership.
A short time ago,
in a video, President Trump spoke directly to the Iranian people, saying now is the time for them to rise up and overthrow the Iranian regime in power since 1979.
when we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Israel released a video which it says shows the impact of strikes on missile launchers in Iran. Iranian media reports strikes nationwide with smoke rising from the capital. Some of the initial strikes appeared to hit areas near offices of the 86-year-old Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. It was not immediately clear if any top officials had been killed.
We'll have an answer in a few days to one of the key questions of, do they know what they're doing? Have they been able to devastate the regime to a degree that the regime's rule is threatened and the leadership has, say, been decapitated?
Almost immediately, Iran launched a wave of missiles and drones targeting Israel, then launched more towards U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar, as Iran's foreign ministry said it will defend its homeland and, quote, confront the enemy's military assault. This is the second time in 8 months that he has launched a military operation in Iran, and comes just weeks after Trump ordered the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
They can never have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump had warned of these strikes if nuclear talks with Iran were unsuccessful. He had previously promised to keep America out of forever wars and said he'd bring peace. Now he acknowledges there could be American casualties, saying, quote, that often happens in war. Jason Bellini, Scripps News Group, Tel Aviv, Israel.
Citizens of Israel, like in this previous operation and now in Roaring Lions, we will have to have resilience and we have to have courage, and we're going to have to pay prices, maybe heavy prices. But I know what forces, wonderful forces, are within the citizens of Israel. Since the start of this war, we stood together, and today we're going to stand together.
Job 30:8. They are children of fools, ye children of base men. They were viler than the earth. Kahala Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rekahak Redash. Double honors to the elder apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, for teaching his word in truth and sincerity. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad, and peace and salutations to the sincere Akim that's pushing his word in truth and sincerity. To you I say Shalom. In the middle of the night, February 28th, Nero Trump and some small hats headed by not a Jew released strikes, missile strikes on Iran. And it's all prophesied that it's going to go down like that. These are base men, man. These men are the lowest men on the totem pole. They're the scum of the earth. And all in efforts to have all out control of that area, that region, those small hats, they pretty much are perverting the scriptures in order to obtain, those regions, that region of the world. So they out there committing atrocities, while we were asleep. Well, I was up, but while Babylon was sleeping, in the middle of the night, they set those strikes out. So we definitely in those days, we're vastly approaching the Lord's return. Salakia. We're fastly approaching that time. And if you haven't gotten right with Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, the true name of the Most High, and his only begotten Son, Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh, and his only begotten Son's name is Yahweh Shai. If you haven't gotten back to him, praising his glory, calling upon his name, studying these scriptures, then your time is at hand also. I'm going to read that same verse, Job 30:8. I'm going to read it in the NLT. I'm also going to read verse 7. So Job 30:7 and 8 in the NLT. They sound like animals howling among the bushes, huddled together beneath the nettles. They are nameless fools, outcasts from society. Back in those days, man, these Edomites was the lowest pieces of shit, lowest scum on the earth, But, in order to fulfill prophecy, they had to come up out of that. Now it's their time to rule. This is their kingdom. But these are base men we talking about, man. These are those animals that crept out of those caves, They are the savage wild beasts that roam this earth in the form of a human. Because all their whole thing is to create wars and famines and pestilences, and you're watching it. You're watching their true nature at hand. You're watching their true nature, and it's only a matter of time before, they kick off WW3, man. we at those end days, you know, they definitely pushing forward with their digital system. And this is just a part of that, part of those prophecies that have to come to pass. You know, sure enough, that MOTB is on its way. You know, they have their plans for 2030, but the way they're moving, it looks like it might happen a lot sooner. This is 2nd Ezra 9, verse 2. Then shalt thou understand that it is the same time, the very same time, wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Yeah, we're witnessing that now. You know, the Most High is about to visit this place. You know what I'm saying? Through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. And he's coming to destroy Babylon, man. And he's coming to take back his land. The whole world is his land, you know, the whole world is his. But he's coming back to get that piece of land that those bastards are in. A bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. You know, Ashdod is a city in Israel, a city over there in the Holy Land. And they're defaming it. They're tearing the land up. They're over there committing atrocities through their rape, rob, and murder. You could call it RRM, man. Through that RRM, man. These people are just, they're the scum of the earth, man. But they only doing according to the Lord's will, man. Nothing happens on this planet. Nothing happens, period, without the Lord ordaining it, without the Lord putting his stamp of approval on it, without the Lord making it happen. He make all things happen. You know, he control both sides, whether it's good and evil, good or evil. Isaiah 45:7. You know, and we've seen the most earthquakes that were recorded in history. It's happened within the last year, you know, and we're seeing and we're watching uproars of the people, you know, through their ICE, you know, running around, you know, creating havoc everywhere they go. You're seeing the uproars of the people. Now it's starting to affect those low-level Edomites. So, you know, the top wicked elite, they're setting forth, you know, their plans of an NWO. So now it's not only affecting the tribes, now it's starting to trickle down to them low-level Edomites, working class Edomites. So now you're starting to see that uproar of the people, because they thought their GOV was for them, you know. Then they come to find out that they're not. You know, they're abducting and murdering and raping their babies and eating them, you know. So it's about to get real serious out here. You're about to see sedition among men. There's about to be a, you know, civil war here brewing in Babylon. And you're watching the people actually lose their minds right before you, you know what I'm saying? Right in your face, you're watching people, you know, lose it. And it's just going to get worse. Matter of fact, I read those two verses again. 2nd Ezra 9:2. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3, therefore when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand, this is verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So all this stuff was written from the beginning of time, man. This is what the Lord, Yahweh, through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, this is what Yahweh spoken to existence. This is his story. This is how he wrote it. So all these things must come to pass. All these things got to happen. So that's why it's imperative, it's important to rely on these scriptures. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. So, you got to rely on the scriptures now. You can't rely on your own invention. You can't rely on your own thoughts, even though your thoughts are not your own, but you can't rely on your own inventions, man. You can't rely on your own tuition. You got to rely on the scriptures and what the scriptures say. So that's why it's important to study. 2 Timothy 2:15, study and show thyself approved. So when these things are happening, you won't lose your mind with the, with the wicked out there, man. These people that didn't want to obey the law of the, of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. They didn't want to, put forth the time and the effort, to learn his word. So now you're starting to see people lose their shit. And it's just gonna get that much more intense. This is verse 5. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So yeah, the end is manifesting itself. You're watching the end of this life. You're watching the downfall of a kingdom. If you look up the lifespan of a kingdom, it's about 250 years. It's 250 years, and we're in that 250th year as of July. So you're watching the brick by brick dismantling of this place called Babylon, and this place is going to be a lake of fire. The Lord gonna come back to tear this place up, man, because of all the wickedness that these people have done, that our people have done, So it's only right the Lord come back and destroy this place. This is Revelation 11:14. The second woe has passed, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So we're watching that third woe come. The second woe, World War II. First woe, World War I. So we're watching that third woe come into existence, come to fruition. We're watching the beginning stages of WW3. So you have to prepare yourself. And how you prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, is through these scriptures. This is Isaiah 66. I'm going to read verses 15 and 16. Verse 15. For behold, the Lord, Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, plead with all flesh. Pleading, when you look that word up in the blue letter, that's judge. He's coming to judge this place and all that, and all that dwell in it. He's coming to judge the earth, huh? Mainly these people here in Babylon and those wicked ass Amalekites and who've hijacked our land, those imposters. Verse 16 again, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, shall be many. So, prepare yourself. That's the only thing you can do right now is prepare yourself through these scriptures. You know, leave those wacky-tacky pastors alone, you know, because they don't have that word. They don't have that truth. They still after your, you know what I'm saying? They still after your money. Even though the world is falling apart, they still after your money, you know. You gotta understand, all these things are set up by the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? So, brace yourself, prepare yourself, and keep praising and praying to the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And with that, see you in the next one. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakahak Radash, Abad Babal.